Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Man, it's good to be back. It's good to be back. Welcome to a brand new show of the Daily Mind podcast. I've been gone for about 2 weeks. I know it's been a minute, but I did announce it. I did announce before that I was going to be on a bit of a break on some work-related stuff, but I'm back, and it's good to be back, man. This is like one of my favorite parts of my day, especially at this time slot, because this is where I usually have all my people on the show is usually at this time slot. But nonetheless, it's good to be back. Welcome. Hopefully everybody has been on their best behavior. I've been in and out of TikTok whenever I had a chance, but didn't have the time to actually record anything, which given the hiatus and whatnot. But hopefully everybody's been on their best behavior. It's summertime now, 4th of July. It's at least the 4th of July. I can't light any fireworks here. But back home, hopefully you don't get your hands blown off, because it happens every year. Everybody think there's some sort of pyrotechnic expert and think they know what they're doing until now they're walking around with two nubs for the rest of their life. So be careful out there. Have fun. Just party up. It's 4th of July, people, if you celebrate 4th of July. I know some people don't, and it's okay. It's your prerogative. But anyway, welcome. It's been a little bit since I've been on the show, and this is actually the last episode of this season. If you do follow this podcast, if you actually listen to it, this is the end of season 21, and believe it or not, the sixth season, the end of season 6 on TikTok. I've already done, I think now, 139 episodes live. I haven't had the opportunity to upload all of them. It's a lot of work, so I handpick certain episodes to upload on YouTube. If you get a chance, right, you'll find my YouTube page. Just type the Daily Mind podcast and you'll see selected episodes on there. It's a lot of work to upload every single episode, because it's some of these episodes, they go 2 hours, and it's a lot to try to keep track of and upload. So there are select episodes. I usually pick the best of my episodes to be put on YouTube. Anyway, so if you're new to the show, this is a society and culture podcast. We talk about any and everything, and we have a couple of special segments on Mondays and Fridays. Fridays for you guys, that is, because I'm out here in Korea. And on Fridays, we do the Round Table, which is one of my best segments, where it's just an open mic discussion, Freestyle Friday type episode, where we just talk about anything. It don't matter what the fuck it is. We just talk about it. It's right there for whatever you want to talk about, right? I know my hair's looking a little wild. I woke up not too long ago. Whatever, I don't give a fuck. It's hot out here. Believe it or not, we are in a heat wave out here in Korea. Let me tell you something. I was driving home yesterday. The temperature said 103 degrees. I swear to God. I can't make this up. 103 in Korea. Now, before I got here, they said it gets hot. It's not like I didn't believe them. I was like, well, it's kind of hard to believe. But yeah, it does get fucking hot out here. So, I mean, we're talking like... It feels different than when I was in Tennessee, kind of hot, but it is hot. All right, it's hot. Good way to lose weight, though. Yeah, but other than that, I'm on a 4-day weekend. I'm chilling, doing the show with you guys. It's always the best. I don't have much plans. I'm broke. I just sat here, paid a lot of bills, so whatever plans I had to go anywhere, it's kind of like put on the back burner. It's just part of being an adult, I guess you could say. All right, but anyway, yeah, on many things, I don't know what new episodes are going to be, like new ideas. I'm pretty sure they'll just pop up for the new season. One of my executive producers said that I should do some storytelling on some prominent figures. And, one of my other co-hosts said that we should do some on, real life cases, people on the run and stuff like that Travis Decker dude, which, believe it or not, they still have not found this dude. It's crazy. This dude has been on a run for over a month, and they can't find this guy who, believe it or not, he was in my unit at one point overseas. Believe it or not, this dude, I've seen this dude before. I know who he is. Not on a personal level, but I know who he is. And they still can't find this dude. It blows my mind. But anyway, so to end this season, we're going to talk about today one of the most influential movies of all time. July 3rd is an important date, because it is the date to where one of my favorite movies of all time came out. Skinless Chicken Nugget is in the chat. What is going on? He is my executive producer and co-host. He said he's just over here having a burr. All right, well, shit, you enjoy that. I mean, everybody at this point need to enjoy a couple of those and just let loose for the 4th of July. Not too loose, though. We're not talking about Diddy loose. We're talking just have fun kind of loose. But today we're going to talk about, let me see, you talk about somebody on the run. Yeah, I just mentioned Travis Decker, the dude we talked about before. Yeah, he's still on the lam. They still can't find this dude. I mean, wherever he is, don't know. Yeah, but I tell you what, they're going to do a documentary on this guy, and I'm going to watch it, I'm sure. All right, but today we're going to go back in time. Back in time. And we're going to talk about Back to the Future. Yes, on July 3rd, on July 3rd, 1985, Back to the Future was released. All right, this movie was a runaway hit. On a $19 million budget, this movie made almost $200 million. That's a lot of money back then for this movie. And again, this was a movie that was rejected so many times. The script had to be redone, recasting. The movie was almost just completely shelved. And it was risky, too, given some of the content in the movie. Like, I don't know, Lorraine falling in love with her son in that sort of way. You know, Disney even rejected the movie because of that premise alone. Because if you know Back to the Future, he goes back in time. He finds a younger version of his mom. And she falls in love with him because he sat there and fucked up the timeline just a little bit, and it almost pretty much erased his existence. So today we're going to go and we're going to talk about Back to the Future. It is personally my favorite movie. I sat there and I had to think about this shit. It is definitely my favorite movie. Anytime I see it on TV, I stop whatever I'm doing, and you know, I go ahead and I just watch this movie. Skinless, you said, bro, getting out is so stressful, kind of. Oh, yeah. And that's why people are reluctant to get out. Because it's not just a process. No, it's not just what is on the outside, but it's also the process of getting out. But as you can see, you see it. But we'll talk more about that later. But yeah, we're going to go and talk about Back to the Future. We're going to go over some fun facts. We're going to talk about how the DeLorean was almost not even in this movie. So they pitched different ideas on what to use for a time machine. They almost used a Ford Mustang, right? They rejected that and said that's not really a cool car. Believe it or not. They almost used a refrigerator at one point for a time machine, but that would have been bad because then kids would be locking themselves in refrigerators trying to travel back in time. And then all these other things that made the movie where it is. So fun facts. We're going to talk about the DeLorean too. I wanted to dedicate an episode to the DeLorean because it is indeed my favorite car, and I know damn near everything about that fucking car. And I'll throw some facts in there too. Skill, as you said, that Mustang would have crashed before it hit 88 miles an hour. I agree. That shit would have slid right into whatever the fuck was around there. Fucking Mustang. But no, these were Mustangs back then. They were better than the Mustangs, I guess, of today. And again, people, if you drive Mustangs, I like Mustangs. Okay, I like Mustangs. It's not the Mustang, people. It's the drivers. I'm sorry. Some of these drivers should not be driving Mustangs, let alone any sort of car, right? You buy a car with a particular amount of power, you should be able to know how to drive this motherfucker. But people, they drive cars for certain clout or just to say they have a car like that. And then, yeah, crowd unalivers. You said it right the first time, though, but I like the correction you just made. Crowd unalivers. All right, yeah, but let's go back in time. We're talking about Back to the Future. Again, this movie came out July 3rd, 1985. It starred Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, Leah Thompson, and then other people like Crispin Glover and everybody else. Now, believe it or not, Michael J. Fox, there is like an original cut to this movie. Michael J. Fox was not the original Marty McFly. They had Eric Stoltz. If you go look on YouTube, there are scenes. They shot like half the movie with Eric Stoltz, and people are like, why don't we get the Eric Stoltz release? Because he didn't do the whole fucking movie. You're going to have half the movie with Eric Stoltz, and then the rest with with Michael J. Fox. Now, I've seen some of the cuts with Eric Stoltz, and I think they made a great decision. Because Eric Stoltz gave a more darker tone to the movie. There are some dark tones to the movie, but it's more like a family sci-fi comedy. And no, Gizmo was not in the movie. Believe it or not, though, the people that were behind Back to the Future also helped make Gremlins as well. In fact, the set of Hill Valley was also used in Gremlins. Yeah, it's Universal movies, so they all use the same shit. Yeah, but that would be one hell of a crossover if you mess with the timeline and somehow Marty meets Gizmo, that's just stupid. But anyway, so Eric Stoltz, they got rid of him after weeks of shooting. They've already filmed shots with him in it. He got a letter saying, we don't need you anymore, but he did get a nice little payout out of it. He still talks about it to this day. It seems like he's moved on from it, but you could tell he was kind of irked. But I honestly think that if they kept this dude in place of Michael J. Fox, I think the movie would have not done nearly as good. Michael J. Fox absolutely killed it. He played as a teenager, even though I think he was like 20-something years old. He played like a 16, 17-year-old teenager in the movie. And I think putting him in the movie was perfect. Now, yes, Skinless, everybody wanted that fucking hoverboard. I swear to God, there's a lot of shit in that movie that that people wanted. Now, the hoverboard did not appear until Back to the Future 2. But, yeah. And then the Nike sneakers. Yes, the Nike sneakers from Back to the Future 2 was actually on sale. In fact, Michael J. Fox himself owns a pair of those sneakers. Now, they were supposed to come out. I don't even know if they did or if they came out in limited numbers. But I think it did come out in limited numbers, those sneakers. They are actually pretty cool. Here we are. It's 2025, and we still have laces in our shoes, people. Where is the shoes that are going to tie for us? I'm still waiting for them. We are still tying shoes manually. Now, Back to the Future 2, I'm not going to get too much into it, but it did predict some things, right? And for some reason, in that movie, they had a bunch of fax machines. I guess they predicted that fax machines would be the future. But if you notice in Back to the Future 2, nobody had cell phones. It was all about fax machines, which was fucking weird. But anyway, Back to the Future, right? Directed by Robert Zemeckis, right? His name comes about, big name in the 80s because he helped do Roger Rabbit and all these other movies. All right, you said 1,500 pairs were auctioned off in 2016. Okay, yeah. Michael J. Fox does have a pair of one of those shoes. He deserves it. I mean, if it wasn't for him, we probably wouldn't have made it to Back to the Future 2. All right, so I'm not going to go too much into the premise of the movie. We all know what the fuck happened. I'll skim through it just a little bit, all right? And one of those questions that was asked is that how was, I think recently they were asking the question, okay, 2011, gotcha. How did Marty and Doc meet? So it never explained how they met in the movie, but in the back part of it, Bob Gale, I guess he's one of the top guys that helped make the movie, said that one day, so if you really look at it, the backstory of Back to the Future with Doc Emmett Brown, played by Christopher Lloyd, he was a crockpot scientist, right? He was a loner. Nobody messed with him. Everybody thought he was loony. But Marty was the only kid that trusted and wanted to know what the hell this scientist did, which is why Doc allowed him in the house, in his place. Looking at all his inventions and shit like that, because everybody just thought he was a crockpot scientist. Nobody thought he could invent anything. He's just a tinkerer, right? So that him and Marty met one day because he stumbled upon his laboratory, and then that's how they met. And that's why in the beginning of Back to the Future 1, he calls Marty in the middle of the night and tells Marty to meet him in a parking lot. Now, of course, today that sounds pretty weird. Why would an old scientist, call this teenager to meet him in a parking lot after midnight? Of course, that sounds weird now. But he called Marty because Marty was the only person he trusted. And he wanted to bring him out to the mall parking lot to show him his newest invention that he is sure that works. And it did work. So that's how they built that relationship. Going forward from that point on he was just a kid that he trusted. All right, so as you guys know how the movie goes, shit went wrong in the parking lot. The Libyans came, unalive Doc at first, we thought. Marty takes the machine, goes back to 1955, inadvertently though. He didn't mean to do it. He just needed the car as an escape to get out, but the time circuits were already set for a particular date. He goes back in time to Hill Valley. He realized it's not a dream. He looks at a newspaper and he's like, holy shit, this is really 1955. All the while, without even knowing, he messes up his timeline and puts his future in jeopardy because of his dad, who the original thing was supposed to happen was that his mom and dad met because he was a peeping Tom. He fell off the tree. Her dad hits him. And you guys know how the story goes, right? So Marty messes the fucking timeline up. He gets hit by the car instead. And instead, his mom falls in love with him. Now, of course, What do you think is going to happen when that happens? It's going to erase his future existence because his mom and dad never got together. So they came up with so many ideas for this movie, and they laid upon that. Now, this was the 80s, all right? Things were still a little bit risky. Now, the idea of a mom falling in love with her son didn't rub off very well on many studios. So when they presented this to Disney, dude, can you believe that Disney rejected Back to the Future? And they rejected it apparently because of that one premise in the story. Like, how can your mom fall in love with the son? And they were just like, that's too risky for us. We're not going to deal with it. So they rejected it. Many people rejected this movie. And I know some of them are now regretting it, but the script had to be rewritten many a fucking time. Everything had to be revised. They've been working on the movie, I think, starting in 1980, 1981. And they just been reworking it as much as they possibly could. Now, it says that they conceived the idea for Back to the Future back in 1980. They were desperate for a successful film after numerous collaborative failures. All right? So, of course, they had to put this shit together. Back to Family Affairs. Skinless, you said Back to Family Affairs. What do you mean by Back to Family Affairs? Are you talking about this, the movie? Anyway, so yeah, they started shooting the movie back in 1984. Eric Stoltz was in the movie. They got rid of Eric Stoltz, right? And when they got rid of him, it added another $4 million to the budget because now they hired Michael J. Fox, who was already being pretty much known, right? He said if he poked his mom, but her younger self. Okay, if Marty had sex with his mom, Family Affairs, I don't even think that would be considered. I don't even think they would show that in theaters. It would just fuck up. It would ruin his existence. That was the whole point. He had to prevent himself from not existing. But he needed Doc's help, which back then he did find Doc. And this was before he invented the time machine. But that goes, a little bit down the ways. All right, so they said that after highly successful test screenings, the release was brought back to July 3rd, 1985. Now, Skinless, you said, what if he got her pregnant and that's how himself was born? That's not how none of that shit worked. Okay, think about it like this. That's so terrible. Oh my God, that is a thought. See, this is why I think time travel is extremely dangerous. Just simply because of shit like what you just imagined, right? You said that what if back in 1955 he got her pregnant and that's how himself was born? Then not only will you have... I don't even know how that would be as Doc would describe it, it will be a paradox. I don't know what, I think the universe will explode. All right, you asked me, have you ever seen the movie Timeline, a time machine movie? No, I haven't. I've seen Bill and Ted, though. Bill and Ted is another time traveling movie, but instead it involves a telephone booth, which I like Bill and Ted. I've seen that, but I've never seen Timeline. It's on YouTube for free right now if you got Prime. I got Prime. I think I might check that out, Timeline. I love time traveling movies because ever since Back to the Future came out, I've always thought of the concept of time travel. Like, let me ask some of you. If you had one opportunity to go back in time, it has Paul Walker in it? I might check it out. If you had one opportunity to go back in time, to what point in your life would you go back in time to? And why? Just know, though, if you go back in time to this particular point in time, it could fuck with your future, right? So how... You only have one opportunity to go back in time. How would you do it? And I mean, when would you go back to and why? Captain James in the building. What's going on, Captain James? I see you up there in the chat. All right. So, Skinless, you said you'll go back in time to the point when you were conceived and punch your mom in the stomach. Brother, that's dark. That is fucking dark. What the fuck, dude? Oh, man. Talk about unaliving yourself. And yeah, Captain James, we're good, man. We're talking about Back to the Future, celebrating 40 years of this incredible movie. Skinless, that's some crazy shit. Imagine you punch your mom in the stomach while you're in there and you just disappear. Because now you just basically unalived yourself in there. So you start just fading away. And that's it. Now you don't exist. That's kind of like how Back to the Future worked. All right, you said, nah, for real, I thought I'd go back and invest in Bitcoin or invent the iPod or something. Ooh, now, one thing Doc preached in Back to the Future was that the time machine was not created for financial gain. Okay, but in this case, you can do whatever you want in this question. So Doc did not invent. He wanted to see history itself. He didn't want to alter it. He didn't want to get rich off of it. Even though this man could have been a millionaire, he could have been a billionaire. This man could have, he already knew a lot of shit. Could have went back in time and
What's up,
banked
Dad?
it. Now, Cap, what's that?
I said, "What's up, Dad?"
Hey, what's going on, man? It's been a minute. I feel like I haven't been on the show in ages, but it's only been like what, roughly 2 weeks. So let me ask
Yeah.
you, James. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. It feels
Yeah,
good, man.
I'm in your city. I'm in your city.
Oh, hey, yo. Hey, let me ask you, James. Have you ever seen Back to the Future?
Maybe once or twice, very long time ago. Not a time
Okay,
that I
yeah,
remember. Did
okay,
anybody
yeah, and
die?
no one died per
Yeah, I can't
se.
remember that shit then.
Okay, so it's he takes the DeLorean in the car to go back in time. The movie with the time machine, the car. Okay, anyway, let me ask you
Yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
question.
Go ahead.
If you had an opportunity to go back in time to any point in your life, what time would you go back to and why?
Uh, when I was born,
Why would you go back to when you're born?
hmm, fucking punched my mom in the face. Just get
Yo, you're the
somebody
second.
richer.
You're the second person. You know what? You know what?
All these rich
You know
guys
what's?
running around, and you went for brokey broke. Come on,
Let me.
man.
Let me. You know. Do you know what Skinless said? He said that he would go back in time, punch his mom in the stomach while he's in there after being conceived. I'm like, you just unalived yourself. You're never gonna exist. As soon as you do that, you just disappear because you don't exist anymore. What the fuck? And then now you're talking
Yeah,
about going back in time and punching your
he ain't
mom in the
coming back.
face.
Yeah, that nigga
Hell,
ain't
you're not
coming
coming
back.
back from that. Hell no. What the fuck?
Mhm. So
Oh
what
my
you what
god.
you been up to?
Oh, I've been at Gunnery, man. I've been there
Oh,
for
you
two
been at
fucking
Gunnery?
weeks. Yeah, I just
How
got
was
back a
that?
couple of days ago. Oh, we scored distinguished, dude. We're about to get an award for it.
Oh, you
Me and
guys
my I was
painting
the
the pussy out
TC.
there? Oh, he
Oh
was a
no.
TC. How exciting!
No, but see, I have to shoot as well. And me and
Ah,
my gunner, we got 907 out of 1,000, so that puts us in a distinguished. That's the best
oh,
gunnery I've ever done.
that's cute. That's cute. Cute.
Be as it may, but it gives
We
us
we
an
we, we
award.
didn't eat treat.
I was gonna say the G word. Oh, that's terrible. I hate those things. Idris are terrible. They're fucking
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah, man. We were
But
stone cold killers. You know,
yeah, have
they're
to
gonna
wake
give
up
us
two,
an
three
award
o'clock in
for
the morning
that. Yeah,
for an Idri. You
yeah,
don't get an
yeah.
award for that. You don't get no award for that shit.
We carried the vote. You know, they were like, you guys was really successful.
I suppose.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
hate
yeah,
those things.
yeah,
I hate
yeah.
Idris. All
We
right,
all
well,
do,
shit.
man.
He said he drove around the block. Oh, that's terrible. Somebody just woke up and like, I'm bored. Let's do an Idri real quick. Let's just drive around the block and come back.
We really did
Mm.
go around the block. Like we went around by Popeyes and then came right back.
It could have been
Like
worse. You guys could have went all the way to the back 40. Jay Haji, what's going
that would
on? I
have
see
been
you
better.
down there. No, it probably wouldn't have been better.
Yes.
Hey, Jay Haji, let
Yes.
me ask you something real quick. We're talking about Back to the Future. We're talking about the 40th anniversary. Let me ask you, Jay Haji, if you could go back in time to one point now, you only got one opportunity to go back in time to any
Mhm.
point in your life. What time would you go back to and why? I gotta hear this because Skinless said that he would go back in
9/11.
time to punch his mom in the stomach while he's in there to unalive himself. You said you go back to 9/11. Now, why would you
Yeah.
go back? Okay, let me ask you something. If you went back to September 10th, 2001, okay, Jay Haji, you said that you'll go back to the start of high school. Interesting.
That's 9/11.
Now, okay, 9/11. Okay, so let's say you went back to September 10th, 2001, right? September 10th, 2001, and you're like, yo, something crazy is going to happen to these two buildings tomorrow. You think people will believe you? They're going to think you crazy. They're going to think you they're going to think
They
you
gonna
some
lock
sort of
his ass
skits.
up.
I swear to God, they're gonna lock you up, and you're gonna be like, "See, I told you so."
And you're gonna have to go back in time again to the videos.
I mean, shit, but you only got one opportunity to go back in time, though, to change history. Now, what do you think will happen if, like, I don't know. I mean, even if you went back to September 10th and you told people this shit, the tower's still gonna get hit. You understand what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you might have saved some lives, but the tower still gets hit. All right, Skilly said you're gonna blow them up before they do. That's wild. Can you imagine you go back to September 10th, you take out the towers, and then the government is like, fuck, man, we were supposed to do that shit tomorrow. Somebody beat us to it. That's fucked. Now, Jay Haji, you said that you'll go back to high school and do it over again, do it better. I mean, that's valid. I think what I would do
I'll be
is
back.
I would
I'll
go.
be back.
Yeah. I think I would go back in time to when Skinless said earlier, go back to the time with Bitcoin when you understand a little bit more about investing. Because believe it or not, I think around 2011 or so, around that time frame, Bitcoin was less than $1. Can you imagine buying all this Bitcoin? I'm telling you, I wouldn't even be here right now. I'd be somewhere much nicer than this. I swear. All right, let's get back to the movie a little bit. So, the premise is simple. When the movie starts, right? All right, Skilly said you go back in time to stop myself from my first marriage. Now, hey, real quick on that though, because your first marriage you had a daughter with. So if you went back and stopped that marriage, that means your daughter would not exist. I mean, is that something you're willing to sacrifice? See, this is why they say time travel, even if it existed, is very dangerous. It could be beneficial, but a lot of people will exploit that for a personal gain rather than changing the course of history for the better, of mankind. Time travel could be seen as a selfish act. Oh, you said marriage, but not my daughter. Okay, but did you guys have your daughter before you got married though? If that's the case, then bam. Okay, that makes all the fucking sense in the world. Then I see what you're cooking with. All right, so when the movie started, his mom was an alcoholic. His dad worked at Subway and was a punk, and Biff was still punking him out. So Marty was already existing in this time where it was kind of depressing. So he went out and just did whatever he wanted to do. He was a teenager, and he went out, skipped school, he had a girlfriend, he messed with some crazy ass doc, right? And then shit just changed, all right? So, I mean, let's talk about I don't know, do you guys have any favorite characters in Back to the Future? I think arguably Doc Emmett Brown is definitely my favorite character because he is so animated and eccentric about science. He made me interested in science. I don't know why, just the way he explains shit in the movie is what attracted me to this movie a lot. Especially, I think the car, for a lot of us kids back then, is what really attracted us to this movie because he took a fucking DeLorean, all right? A DeLorean. Let's talk about that shit for a minute, all right? Because I wanted to dedicate a whole episode to the DeLorean, so think of this as a prelude, right? So you figure he explained a little bit why he chose a DeLorean in the movie before it got cut off in speech. He said something about the time dispersal or something like that. Oh, no. He said if you're going to time travel, why not travel in style? So he picked the DeLorean, which was like the Cybertruck of the 1980s. All right, Jay Haji, you said Trump Mobile. Okay, where are we going with the Trump Mobile thing? What's going on? Did you order a Trump Mobile phone? This I got to see. And if you do order a Trump Mobile phone, I want you to come on the show, pause, and show us this Trump Mobile phone. I would love to see this. But yeah, I'm not going to explain too much of the characters too much. I mean, it's got Marty McFly, right? High school student, aspiring musician, because he had a group in the movie called the Pinheads who got rejected for auditions. Christopher Lloyd as Emmett Brown. We already know who he is. Leah Thompson as Lorraine, which is Marty's mom. Do what on the show? I said I wanted you, if you had the Trump mobile phone, I wanted you to appear on the show and show us the Trump mobile phone. I know I said earlier, I said, come on the show. You know what I said. Come on, man. All right. So we know the characters, right? There's no need to get into these characters too tough because we already know what they're about. Yeah, Skinless, that's wild. You posted 4 of those things. It's kind of weird. So I'm gonna go over some fun facts about the show real quick. And actually, the idea of this movie, fun facts about the show, fun facts about the movie. The idea came from Robert Zemeckis. He was looking through his parents' high school yearbook, and he thought of the idea, what would it be like if I went back in time and I saw my parents back in high school? Let me ask you guys something. If you go back in time and you saw your parents in high school, do you think you think your parents would be getting their ass kicked in high school? Or you think they were like the cool kids in high school? What would you do? Like, for example, right? If you saw your mom in high school and she was hot, would you date her if you went back in time? That's kind of like this shit with Back to the Future. You know what I mean? Kind of like, the mom had the hots for him and she doesn't know that that's her son. Yeah, exactly. That is a good question. Like, would you go back in time to high school, right? See if your parents were popular or as popular as they said they was, because we don't really fucking know. I can tell you from what my dad told me, he cut school a lot. So if I went back, I'd probably find him not in school. He'll probably be running around and shit. Mom probably doing the same thing. But if you went back in time, this might be weird. If you went back in time and saw your mom and she was hot, would you take a crack at her? I don't know. Some people probably would say yes. Me, no. You said she grew up in the early 60s. Yeah, the early 60s. The 60s was a crazy time now. It was a crazy time. All right. But yeah, it says here that Gale and Zemeckis, they were two of the top guys of the movie. Oh, you said segregation. Yeah, I wouldn't want to go back to the 60s either. But see, I lived in New York, and I was born in the 80s. The 80s was different. The 80s was all over the fucking place. All right, so Gale and Zemeckis drew humor from the cultural contrast between 1955 and 1985, which is obviously a 30-year gap, such as Marty entering a 1955 soda shop in 1985 clothing. The shop owner asks Marty if he's a sailor because his down vest resembles a life preserver. And of course, they also identify conveniences of 1985, blah, 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 blah. Shit like that. All right, I'm going to get into some fun facts about this movie. And you said you wonder if your mom was at all racist. Where was your mom born in the States? That would probably, because the 60s was segregated all over the place. I mean, no matter where you went, even New York. There's even parts of New York now that's still sort of segregated. So, but yeah, I'm going to skip all the, I've already talked about Eric Stoltz. And then, so yeah, I'm going to get, you said New Mexico or Colorado. Ooh, probably. Wyoming. Ooh, there's no, in the 60s in Wyoming, if you were a minority, you were non-existent. Probably. Now, Michael J. Fox, real quick. This dude, he was young. Now, Michael J. Fox was a big fucking deal back in the 1980s. He was doing a TV show. He was doing Pepsi commercials. The dude was exhausted, right? And he was doing this movie now because remember, he replaced Eric Stoltz. Now they got him to do the movie. He's doing the TV show Family Ties. He's doing Pepsi commercials. He's doing everything. So after they got rid of Eric Stoltz, real quick, I'm just going to throw this in there. His first day on the set was January 15th, 1985, which was only just 16 days before I was born. He filmed Family Ties during the day before traveling to the Back to the Future location. Often he would not return home until early the following morning, and on weekends, the schedule was pushed back further as Family Ties was filmed in front of a live audience. So this dude was all over the place. All over the place. He said Fox youth meant that he could cope with less sleep than usual. Now, Michael J. Fox himself described this moment when he was doing all this shit as exhausting, but it was worth the effort. I mean, listen, the dude, he was on the grind back then, and it paid off. He got major roles. He was on TV shows in the future. What, unfortunately for Michael J. Fox, he has Parkinson's, and it's taken a toll on him to a point where he's now wheelchair bound. He can barely walk. But I don't know. A lot of people say that his hard work and no sleep and all that contributed to his Parkinson's, to where he is now because the dude overworked himself. But that's for another story. That's for another time. But yeah, they had to reshoot and do a lot of shit with Michael J. Fox and stuff like that. Remember, he replaced Eric Stoltz. His wife sticks by him, and that's what's up. Like, his wife never left his side, and there's a lot of marriages like that is not down like that nowadays. Like, you get hurt or some shit, and now you're on your own. You understand what I'm saying? That's fucking blows my mind when you think about it. You know what I mean? It's supposed to be for rich or poor, for sickness and health, and all the cool shit, right? All right, so I'm going to go over some, because I'm not going to read too much into the backstory, because it's such a common movie. A lot of us know about it, but we don't know a lot of the behind-the-scenes shit. Like, I'm also going to talk a little bit about the DeLorean, too, because I'm actually going to dedicate an episode to the DeLorean because it's a lot about that car that a lot of you don't really know about. But let's say it involved drugs. Drugs were involved in the DeLorean too, but I'll get into all that at some point. All right, so I did pull up some interesting websites that give some insight and fun facts about Back to the Future, right? Because I'm probably going to marathon that shit because it is available, I think, on it's on Prime. I definitely need to check it out though. Let's see here. So there's a website I pulled up called alltherightmovies.com, and I got some other sites pulled up too. It gives 18 interesting facts about Back to the Future. Some I might have already went over, maybe, I don't know. But you said Spaceman from Pluto. What the fuck is that? Spaceman from Pluto. As a title? Can you imagine if that was an actual title? Believe it or not, Back to the Future was not the original title of this movie. I think it mentioned it somewhere in there. Spaceman from Pluto, but they don't even go to Pluto. Like, what the fuck how would that even have worked? Anyway, it says, what can we say about Back to the Future? A stone cold classic? Yep. Beloved by multiple generations of movie lovers? Yep. Joey Jones is going back in time to bring you the most interesting facts of the iconic film. And it does have a lot of interesting facts. So number one, Bob, I think I mentioned this earlier, Bob Gale, right? He was like the creator of the movie, helped greenlight the movie. He based the idea on a high school yearbook. The idea for Back to the Future came to Gale when he was at his parents' house, rummaging around in their basement. He came across his dad's old high school yearbook and wondered if they would have been friends had they known each other when they were both 17. Now, Gale did mention, according to this, Gale mentioned this to Zemeckis, and they turned it into a high-level story with 3 basic ideas. So the 3 basic ideas they came up with after they did this whole discovery, right, through the yearbooks, was number 1, a high school kid gets sent back in time. Covered. Number 2, he meets his parents. Yep. And number 3, his mother falls in love with him. Now, that part of it did ruffle a few feathers because it was like, people were thinking of this in an incestual way. But then they had to really work the fine line with this to explain, like, okay, it's not in that way. It's like, nothing sexual. All right, Skilly said, apparently Fox was hanged and even passed out on the set. Yes, that was Back to the Future 3. If that wasn't Back to the Future 1, but in Back to the Future 3, the scene where they were hanging him up by the rope, he was actually choking on that rope and damn near was hung on the set. Yeah, that is absolutely true. But good point. That's actually true. All right, so all these 3 principles of the movie did go into full screen. Of course, with that last one, had to been worked a little bit. All right, number 2, the original script was very different to what we see in the movie. All right, number 1, it said the movies flow so well that it's almost difficult to imagine it was written in one draft. But there were lots of changes throughout the writing process, some of the key amends. Yeah, exactly. Like, this dude is hanging, he's acting very well. This is some great acting, but he's dying on the set. People have died on movie sets. This is true. All right, so these are some things they did this in one draft, but there were some changes that they made. So Marty's surname, right, was originally McDermott. So his name would have been, good morning. His name was almost Marty McDermott. I can't see that. That doesn't flow.
Marty McFly.
Marty McDermott. Can you imagine Biff hitting his head? Hello, McDermott. Hello. No, McFly sounds so much better. Number 2, the famous clock tower climax to the movie wasn't originally part of the script. Instead, Marty and Doc would visit a nuclear test site in Nevada, and a nuclear explosion would send the DeLorean back to the future. This was changed because the whole sequence would have proved too expensive. Not to mention, if you think about it, if you went to a nuclear test site in 1955 with the DeLorean and caused a nuclear explosion, by the time you get to 1985, there would probably still be a fallout somewhere from it.
It still smells.
That smells pretty good. I'm glad they got rid of the nuclear idea. I think that's stupid as shit. Hey, Fat, what's going on, man? Welcome to the show. I see you down there on the chat. Last episode of the season, we're talking about Back to the Future, the 40-year anniversary. Matter of fact, I'm gonna ask you the same damn question too, Fat. If you had one opportunity to go back in time to any point in your life, what time would you go back to and why? You can hit me up on the chat with that one. All right, another change to the script was the final scene originally didn't play out how it did in the film, with Doc turning back up at Marty's house and taking him and Jennifer on another adventure that went into part 2. It originally ended with George looking at a 1955 newspaper with a picture of Marty playing Johnny B. Good on stage and saying, "It can't be, but it is." If they went with that, right, he had this newspaper and he sees Marty in 1955 playing Johnny B. Good, and then he takes the newspaper and holds it up to his son and say this is impossible, then Lorraine will have a lot of fucking explaining to do, because how the fuck is this kid in this newspaper 30 years ago looks like our son? But the biggest plot hole to Back to the Future is, how is it that Lorraine and George doesn't recognize their son from 1955? Remember, they ran into this kid. Marty was in 1955 for about a week, right? So they've seen enough of this kid's face. How do they not recognize him as their son in 1985? Now, a lot of people would say, well, you forget a lot of faces and people after 30 years, which is absolutely true. But Marty was in their face, put them together, and you never forget the person that helped you meet someone, right? Or hooked you up with someone. So that was always like a weird plot hole. But they explained it as, yo, do you remember anybody after 30 years? Some people can't even remember someone after last year. All right, Skilly, she said, Back to the Future is now the past. The day and the year he travels to was October 21st, 2015. Let's go back to that date real quick. October 21st, 2015. In the movie Back to the Future 2, the Cubs won the World Series. Do you know in 2015 the Cubs almost won the World Series? Let me tell you something. A lot of people betted that year that the Chicago Cubs, in real life I'm talking about, was going to win the World Series based on the prediction of Back to the Future. And do you know that shit almost happened? The Cubs almost won the World Series in 2015. And you said you enlisted 1 month later. Now, who would have predicted that? Now, let me ask you, if you went back in time, would you go back to that point in time and stop yourself from enlisting in the military? Yeah. All right, it says this next one. In the first draft, Doc Brown had a pet chimp called Shemp. Now, if you guys know Shemp, Shemp is one of the Three Stooges. Not one of the original three, but one of the replacements. This was changed to a pet dog called Einstein at the request of the head of Universal, Sid Sheinberg. Sid Sheinberg told Zemeckis and Gale that, quote, no film with a chimp ever made money. When Gale responded by saying, what about Every Which Way But Loose? He said, that's an orangutan, not a chimp. So they decided to make a dog because nobody wanted to see fucking monkeys on the screen. Anna, what is going on? Good morning. I'm glad you are joining us. In case if you haven't read the title of what the show is about, we're going back in time to 1985. It is the 40th anniversary of Back to the Future. Now, I'm good. I'm just glad to be on this show. It's been damn near 2 weeks. And yes, there was a Back to the Future cartoon. It only lasted 1 season. I've seen a few episodes when I was a kid. It came on CBS. And yes, even though it didn't have, like, Michael J. Fox wasn't the voice actor for Marty, but Doc himself, Christopher Lloyd, did play some live bits in the show. Yeah, you said 1985, 10 years before I was born. Yes, Back to the Future came out July 3rd. I was born January 31st of that year. It is by far my favorite movie of all time. Now, let me ask you, Anna, because I've been asking everyone this question as well. And folks, Anna is my co-host on the show and the only female co-host on the show as well. Now, Anna, let me ask you, if you had one opportunity to go back in time, right, to any point, you only have one opportunity now, to go back in time to any point in your life, what time would that be and why? I'll wait for your response. I've heard some silly responses earlier, but
I would go back enough time
to
when my milkshakes brought all the boys to the yard.
You don't need no time machine. Did you just hear what my wife said? She said she would go back in time to the point where her milkshake brings all the boys to the yard. You're not time traveling no fucking where.
No,
matter of fact, no, you're stuck here with me.
Seriously, I would go back to...
All right, let me ask my wife. Hold on, wait. Before I ask you, hon, Anna said, I love being part of the show. I would go back to when I was 14. Why would you go back to when you're 14?
Oh my God.
Now, hon, you said, all right, let me ask you. If you could go back in time, you only have one opportunity to go back in time, one time.
I don't regret meeting you. I don't regret marrying you. I don't regret having my daughter. But if I could go back in time, honestly, I would go back to the time I was 5 years old.
Okay, my wife says she'll go back to the time when she was 5. And Anna, you said because you wanted to go back when you're 14 because that's when you decided you wanted to be a social worker. Oh, that's pretty cool. I mean, just as long as you don't change that, because they say
Wait,
with time travel.
Regret it?
No, she doesn't regret it. She just said that's the time when she wanted to go back to the time when she was a social worker. Because you know what they say, if you go back in time, and let's say, for example, I take this mouse and I move it to the side, I go back in time, I might have changed history. I don't think it's that extreme. But Doc Emmett Brown in the movie made it that extreme that when Marty went back to 1955, he's not to touch anything, he's not to talk to anybody, because anything that he did can change the course of the future, which is what it did. Because believe it or not, at the end of the movie, when Marty went back, do you guys notice what happened? His dad was rich. His dad was a famous writer. His mom was not an alcoholic. His brother Dave no longer worked at Burger King anymore. He inadvertently did change history.
But he was alive.
But he was alive. He was still the same Marty, but everybody was different. All right, you said, Anna, you said, did you ever watch 1942, the show on Hulu?
1942.
I don't think we have Hulu, but I will search it up.
We watched 1982.
No, that's not the show.
1882.
1885. 1883, whatever that show is. No, I've never seen 1942.
No, I thought it was. No, there was 2 shows.
It's you talking about the shit that the spin-offs of
Yellowstone. 1883. Right?
1883 and 1923. No, she's talking about 1942. All right, Anna, you said so. If I knew what I know now, it'd be so much different. Okay, I see what you mean.
I think.
Hold on, hon. Hold on. It said, Skinley, she said that movie timeline puts time travel in an interesting perspective. And that's where I think when this movie came out, because there were time traveling movies even before Back to the Future, but this one was really unique. And you said because stuff from the future was caused by them going to the past. Yes, he changed it. What?
Look, remember when you bought this for me?
Yeah, I see it. Ooh.
But you see, look, it's not.
It's not as.
I lost some of my. What is it? That.
Did you get on today?
Yeah, I gained weight, but I gained weight, but I lost my some fat mass and my visceral fat.
As long as you don't lose your fupa, you're fine. All right. Anyway, so
I lost some of it.
No, don't lose it all. Sheesh.
I have to lose this thing.
Okay, don't lose it all though. Don't lose it all. All right. So oh, you said this from a 2003 movie. Okay,
I'm raising this.
Okay, you can raise that, not the other one, because the other one draws too much light.
I never do.
All right, but yeah, Marty McFly, when he at the end of the movie did change some things, but they thought when he woke up, they were like, "What happened with you, Marty?" But he's still the same Marty, but he didn't recognize at first his dad, because his dad was a dork in the beginning of the movie. His mom was an alcoholic in the movie, but at the end of the movie, she was no longer drinking. He was successful, and everything looked nicer. He had a better car too. He had a BMW. Yes, I just said that in the chat.
You know why?
He really just said that in the chat.
You know why I chose 5 years old?
Why 5?
So I can spend time more with my grandparents.
So that's a good point. My wife says she'll go back to being 5 so she can spend more time with her grandparents. That's true. I mean, there's a reason. Everybody has their reason. And then this next fun fact about the movie. The movie was almost not even called Back to the Future. Yeah, like Skillets, you said it was almost called Spaceman from Pluto. Like, I would have been like, get the fuck out of here with this shit. Because nobody goes to goddamn... That would have made no sense. Man from Pluto, when nobody even goes to space in this movie. All right, next fact. The script was rejected many, many times, which was true. It had to be revised. It was rejected by the studio 44 times. So they had to do so many revisions to get this right. All right, next fact. The end of the movie is foreshadowed in the opening scene. Hey, hon, do you know who Michael Hunt is?
Why?
I'm friends with your wife's boyfriend. Get out of here, Mike. Matter of fact, I think I saw your name before say the same shit. Anyway.
Michael Hunt?
Don't worry about it. Anyway, at number 5, I don't know if I caught this off the rip, but the end of the movie is foreshadowed in the opening scene. I'm going to read this and see exactly how. It says, the amount of foreshadowing threaded throughout Back to the Future is astonishing. The script is a masterclass in the setup and payoff of one of the most notable moments come into the very first scene. Now, what it's saying, this scene in particular, is that the film opens with Marty turning up at Doc's vacant laboratory. Now, the camera pans slowly around the room, revealing many timepieces that Doc keeps on his wall. Now, one of them have a man hanging from the hands of a clock, which is a double whammy because towards the end, that's what Doc was doing. It depicts a scene from Harold Lloyd's classic silent era film, Safety Last, and it also foreshadows the moment where Doc finds himself hanging from the clock tower in the climax of Back to the Future. Did I catch that? As many times as I've seen this movie, I don't recall even seeing that. I have to watch it again. Now that movies are shown more in HD, and much more clear than back then, a lot of people are catching some of those little fine tidbits that they could not see in theaters before. Remember, everything was so grainy and shit like that. All right, so this is one of my favorite facts, that the time machine originally was not even going to be a DeLorean. I heard in one case it was going to be a Mustang, and I think it mentioned it here. Oh, definitely the refrigerator too. Now, it said that the car Marty drives and used to go back in time is a DeLorean, made immortal because of the Back to the Future movie. In the original drafts of the script, however, the time machine wasn't going to be a DeLorean, and it wasn't even going to be a car to begin with. In the first draft, the time machine was a time chamber, a room that Marty would go into and be zapped back in time. Then that changed to a big 1950s-style refrigerator that Marty would climb into, and the refrigerator would travel back in time. Now, the reason why they got rid of that idea is because kids would lock themselves in the refrigerator. Now, there was an episode of an old TV show called Punky Brewster where they had a special episode where her friend locked herself in a refrigerator, because kids were doing this a lot back in the 80s. Because believe it or not, people, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Kids actually went outside to fucking play. So when they seen shit like that, going inside a refrigerator was actually fun. Now, I don't know what kid is going back, who's going in an abandoned refrigerator now. But back then, when kids actually went outside and was adventurous, they did stupid shit like that. So they couldn't, they made a TV show, a special episode of that, and they didn't want to show that in Back to the Future. Because believe it or not, if you go into a refrigerator, you know you can't get yourself out of it, right? Somebody has to open it for you to get out. Now, Skilly, you said an idea, a time machine toaster. Let me guess how this will work. A time machine toaster. You put 2 slices of toast in the motherfucker. Then when it pops up, you go back to the prehistoric age. I would reject that idea as well. All right, so it said Zemeckis had the idea of using a car as it's meant the time machine could be mobile and involved in more exciting scenes. He wanted something that looked futuristic and cool, so the DeLorean was born. But they also wanted to use a Ford Mustang, and the guys were like, that's not really a cool looking car. Now remember, the DeLorean came out in 1981. This was the Cybertruck before Cybertruck. It was a cybercar, right? It was the cool futuristic looking car that gave us all these promises, but it ended up being way the fuck overpriced and very slow of a car. I'll get more into the DeLorean as time go along. You said use a Subaru. Probably no. I think a Subaru back then, first of all, people hated Japanese cars back then in the 1980s. So they would have never ever thought of using a Japanese car. And there was really no cool looking Japanese cars back then anyway. Well, maybe the Supra, but nobody wanted to touch it. All right, number 7. John DeLorean, the guy, the magic behind making the car. Yes, the DeLorean is named after a man named John DeLorean. After the movie came out, and mind you, at this time, his car company was under, right? He was damn near, he was in court. They dropped the charges and stuff on him, but his car company was finished. John DeLorean was very grateful about this movie because what it did was that it made his car famous. Now remember, only about 9,000 DeLoreans were made, right, out of Northern Ireland. Yes, people, a DeLorean is an American car built in Northern Ireland. Yes, people, near Belfast.
The car?
Yeah, the DeLorean was made in Ireland. It wasn't
Why
made.
is it that in all good movies that there's stuff is made in Belfast?
Well, yeah, the Titanic. Well, if you notice, anything made in Belfast was a disaster. The Titanic sunk. The DeLorean is gone after 2 years. Ireland is not a great place to build cars or ships, but no, it wasn't tax fraud. He was they got him on drug charges. What happened was that after about a year or so, the car company started to lose money. Now he had to borrow some money from the British government because Northern Ireland is really part of England. So he borrowed over, I think, something like $100 million to help fund DeLorean. But the money was being funny, and the car company was not making the money that it was supposed to be making. So they put him on a sting operation. where he was going to buy some illegal stuff to help fund the car company, and the feds just busted him. Sad shit, but he got away with it because it was really, what's the term? Where they try to get you, not embezzlement, entanglement or entrapment. So they got him on that. But anyway, John DeLorean was very happy with this movie because of what it did for his car. It said the CEO of the DeLorean car company was called John DeLorean. After the movie came out and was a smash hit, he wrote Zemeckis a letter expressing his gratitude, and he said, quote, "Thanks for continuing my dream in such a positive fashion." Do you know nowadays somebody bought all of the DeLorean parts and remaining shit from Ireland, and they now have a place in Texas where they can refurbish DeLoreans and even build you a brand new DeLorean from scratch? Just imagine paying $50,000 for a 40-year-old, well, actually not even 40-year-old, like damn the 50-year-old car. Not even 50 years old. It came out in 81, but you get the idea. 40-something-year-old car. Yeah, you can buy a DeLorean right out of Texas. Look it up. That's my dream car. I don't give a fuck what it takes. I will get a DeLorean before I die. That's my number one car. I don't want, shut up. I don't want no Ferrari. I don't want no Lamborghini. I don't want no Rolls Royce. I want a fucking DeLorean. I'll take that over any expensive car out there. All right, so this is the letter that John DeLorean wrote to the producers of Back to the Future. He wrote, "Last week I had the opportunity to see a screening of Back to the Future in New York, and I wanted you to know that I think it was absolutely brilliant. I was particularly pleased that the DeLorean motor car was all but immortalized in the film, and wanted to thank all those responsible for the outstanding job they did in presenting the DMC as the vehicle of the future. Thanks again for continuing my dream in such a positive fashion. Sincerely, John Zachary DeLorean." All right, Skelly said, the best you'll get is an old lady named Dolores. Let me tell you something. You drive around a DeLorean, for what I've heard, for some DeLorean owners, it's very annoying. Because you get people that come up to the car, "Oh, can your car do 88 miles an hour? Where's your flux capacitor? Where's Lorraine? Have you punched Biff yet?" I swear to God, listen, I won't even get mad if people ask me stupid questions like that. I love it. Because it's a car that really will make your head turn. Like, yeah, a Lamborghini passes by, that's great. A fucking Rolls Royce, oh, of course. But a DeLorean, people, this car can only do 95 miles an hour top speed. If you look at the original speedometer of a DeLorean, it literally can only do 95 miles an hour. That's it. Oh, I would not slam the DeLorean either. However, though, somebody did put a LS1 Corvette engine in a DeLorean. Now, the engine is in the back, right? So that's a lot of weight in the back of this fucking car. But it was done. And Jolie21, hi, how are you? Good morning, or in your case, good evening to you. But yeah, people have engine swap because the original engine, the original Volvo, Renault, Peugeot engine is garbage. All right, this car can only do, what's the top speed on it? It's 95 miles an hour, and it's slow as shit. How fast did it go with the swap? There's no telling, because remember, the speedometer only went up to 95. So I guess they will have to like swap out and specially customize a speedometer for the DeLorean. But I can tell you it's a hell of a lot faster than 88 miles an hour. All right, so okay, we all know Michael J. Fox was not the first person cast as Marty. They filmed scenes with Eric Stoltz. You can find those scenes on YouTube. You type up Back to the Future Eric Stoltz. It's a whole different movie. You said 130 miles an hour max speed. I think the fastest they clocked with the DeLorean was not 130 miles an hour. I believe it was something shy of that, even though the speedometer does say 95. I could be wrong though. But yeah, Eric Stoltz, we know he was the original Marty McFly. Yes, Michael J. Fox also had to get the gig and had to work very hard. Again, he was doing TV shows, commercials, and the movie all at the same time. The man was busy. All right, you said 110 to 130. There has been some reports of this car doing faster than that. Again, you would have to drive it yourself, and you would have to get a customized or have a cell phone app of a speedometer to really get the true speed of a DeLorean. But the car itself promised so much to people and investors, and it didn't deliver on it. Not to mention, they wanted the DeLorean to sell for about $12,000. The car's price bumped it to $25,000 back then. Super fucking expensive for a car. Super expensive. All right, you said with the LS engine, it went over 150. That was what the DeLorean was supposed to deliver back in 1981. But again, production got very expensive, and they had to make some cutbacks, unfortunately. All right, also, the visual team did some impressive work. Now, Christopher Lloyd, I didn't know this fact, but he originally turned down the part of Doc Brown. I can't picture anyone else playing Dr. Emmett Brown. Like, can you imagine Sylvester Stallone playing Emmett Brown? Well, I think if you drive 95 miles an hour, you go back. I don't want to hear that shit. It said Christopher Lloyd was recommended for the part of Doc Emmett Brown to Robert Zemeckis by producer Neil Cantor, who had worked with Lloyd on the adventures of Buckaroo Banzai. Whatever the fuck that is. Oh, Christopher Walken as Doc Brown? Oh, man. I don't even think I take it serious. Kermit the Frog as Doc. Nah, see, if Kermit the Frog or whoever does his fucking voice plays the role of Dr. Emmett Brown, I don't even think I take that shit serious. Although it does give somewhat of a scientific voice vibe. Like, well, according to my calculations, if you go fast this way in one straight continuous line, 88 miles an hour will be the exact precise calculation for you to go back to 1955. I laughed the whole time. No, you wouldn't even be able to take the movie serious. Hearing this voice of this frog explaining science, no way. Anyway, Christopher Lloyd was not going to do this role. They sent Lloyd the script, but with aspirations of being a serious actor, the actor threw the script in the trash. Christopher Lloyd almost damn near fucked his career up. Now, I'm not saying that if he didn't do Back to the Future, that he would have not had a promising career. No, he probably would have, but yo, what is the first movie that come to mind when you look at Christopher Lloyd? I promise you, if I ask 10 people this shit, they all gonna say Back to the Future. Yeah, he done Dennis the Menace. Yeah, he done Angels in the Outfield. He played in the TV show Taxi. He done all these things. But when I look at Christopher Lloyd, the first thing I think of is Back to the Future. Period. I don't think of it as anybody else. But yeah, he threw the script in the trash. It said Lloyd was convinced to take part when he met Zemeckis, who impressed him when he explained his ideas for the movie. And Doc Brown to the actor, Lloyd told Zemeckis he wanted to base the character on Albert Einstein and a conductor called Leopold Stokowski. Zemeckis liked the idea and Lloyd was hired. So basically, he took the role by saying, hey, let me make Doc who I want him to be, and we're good. And that eccentric, tone to Dr. Emmett Brown that Christopher Lloyd portrayed was perfect. Perfect. You say you can't have a video and drive. Captain James, what you doing back there?
I'm going to... Well, I'm in Brooklyn. I'm about to
you're all over the place. Why is it every time you're on this show, you're somewhere else? You were in Charlotte last time on this show, were you not?
Yep.
Yeah, you were always somewhere doing some shit.
Hey, man. You just got to make money,
I hear that.
I'm a whole distro,
I hear that. You out there destroying something else, huh?
You know how it is. You know how we do.
I don't know shit. I ain't testifying either. You see, Diddy almost got out. He's still going to jail. I love how people think that Diddy, and we're going to talk about that on the round table. Like, this dude is still going to jail in some capacity. He may not be doing life, but he's going to jail.
Free my Ninja D, man. Free my Ninja D. Cloudy out here as a motherfucker, man. Shit.
It's time to take your ass inside. All right, you say he's facing 20 years. We're going to see. He's been denied bail, so somebody really want this dude to go to jail. And it's going to happen. Listen, I'm going to go off I know I'm going off the rail real quick. I got to get back on Back to the Future. But I feel like Diddy's going to do no more than 10 years. 5 to 10 years tops. I don't think he's doing 20. 5 to 10 years tops.
For what, though?
Well, they got transporting prostitutes or some shit like that. Yeah, there it is. He wrote it in the chat. That's all they got him for. They didn't even get him for the Cassie thing or nothing. You can't charge a man for baby oil, for having excessive amounts of baby oil. You can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, he likes what he likes,
What if he has a Costco membership? But what if he has a Costco membership and he likes to buy, he just goes there just for the oil? You can't fault someone for buying Costco amounts of oil.
Yeah, what if he's a distributor too, Like he sells them wholesale to Walmart and shit.
That's terrible. I mean, shit, you got to make your money somehow. It's some slippery work, though.
Yep.
All right, you said
That's
10
how-
years
that's
is
how
the minimum.
That's how the rich stay rich.
I
They
suppose.
sell baby oil. People.
Oh, shit. That's terrible. Who out there selling baby oil out of a fucking out of the back of their car? Hey, what's going on, Mike? What's going on, man? We're talking Back to the Future. How's everything going? Just going over some Back to the Future shit. It's the 40-year anniversary. You know, I'm back on the show after about 2 weeks, wrapping up this season.
Hey, this is the type of this is the type of shit you see in New York. Hold on.
Wait a minute, hold on. I'm on James' show now. What is going on here? Hey, welcome to the James Mind podcast.
It's
What
in
the
New
hell is
York,
this?
man.
Oh, that's new. Damn, you can't go to New York without seeing like the police doing some dumb shit. Oh, they got somebody pulled over? What the
They pulled me
hell?
over this morning too.
Yeah, look at your tints, dude. Look like you selling baby oil out of your fucking car. I
Nah, they
you
pulled me
over
over
too.
for my bubble. They pulled me over for my bubble,
Oh.
man.
I got you.
I don't
Mike,
know.
what's going on? I've been off TikTok just
I
for
don't know
like
how
a
to
little under
switch
2
this
weeks. I've been off for a little bit. I had some work-related shit, man. That's all. You know, sometimes the show does take a little bit of a hiatus. Let's see what else. What other facts we got here on the show? Tom Wilson has his own Back to the Future script. Tom Wilson's the guy that played Biff. Biff is, I think, low-key one of my other favorite characters. He's funny without even trying to be funny.
Is he dead?
Okay, there you go. Huh?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
It's Tom.
The guy that played Biff?
Dead?
No, he's
Tom. Dude, you talking?
Tom Wilson is still very much alive. He's still alive.
There's a better car than mine. It's probably an RT though. It's not an RT. It's probably a GT.
Probably. All right, what else? Other facts we got? But I mean, there's only so much I can talk about with the movie in terms of like facts and stuff like that. But just imagine, you know, this movie coming out. And hey, Mike, South Korea is all right, man. And we got a heat wave going on right now, though. It's hot, dude. Yesterday, the car read 103 degrees out here. I know it's hard to believe, but it gets hot out here. And it's a different hot. It's definitely different.
Man.
But everything's good, though. Everything's good.
Man, the
Everything's good.
other day we was 121 in Clarksville, man.
121. Get the fuck out of here. Oh no, dude, you'd be rotisserie right now. 121 degrees. Man, please.
They couldn't touch me because I'm already black, you know. So they couldn't touch me.
I hear that. Hey, Mike,
affected
appreciate
the
the
light
follow,
skins.
man. Thanks a lot. You said they're giving you guys an award for it being 121 degrees. You better take it. What, COA? It's worth something. COAs are worth something. Yeah. But yeah, Back to the Future, man. It's like I said, it's my favorite movie. I sit there, I watch it. And it's always, that movie always leaves me in suspense. Like towards the end when he's trying to get back in time, back to 1955. Like you know he's gonna make it. I mean, the 1985. You know he's going to make it, but it's like,
shit!
what happened?
Nah, that dude almost ran over that cockroach.
Say what? In the street? You see this?
Yeah.
There's roaches big enough for you to see in the street while you're driving?
Yeah, it's Brooklyn.
Brother, you got roaches as big as cats. I would have never seen that in the fucking street. Oh, let's swerve. There's a cockroach in the middle of the fucking street in New York. I would have never.
These are different roaches. These are Brooklyn roaches, you know.
I hear that shit. They're
surprised I
the
ain't
ones
seen
that
a
carry
rat yet.
boombox. Oh, you will. And if you run over a rat, it's going to flip your whole car over.
Yep.
But
Stay
nah,
away
Mike,
from
I
those
agree, man.
motherfuckers.
Michael J. Fox, man. You know, out of anything, I wouldn't wish Parkinson's or any disease on anybody, but Michael J. Fox does not deserve that shit. Michael J. Fox is an American Canadian treasure. You understand what I'm saying? This man, he's the one actor, he never gets caught up in anything, never got in trouble in Hollywood, never sat there and did anything inappropriate. But nah, man, what happened with him is just crazy. He said one day, it was around after he did Back to the Future 3. He said, or around that time, he said he started feeling weird and shaky and realized that something is not right, that he's like shaking, got his nerves is twitching. But he still continued to do TV shows like Spin City. And you can see even in Spin City, he was starting to have these involuntary movements as well because he was just now getting into the early stages of Parkinson's. and ultimately it started affecting him from getting roles and stuff. But he still makes appearances, and he still very much is celebrated in the Back to the Future community. He still does like appearances in regards to Back to the Future and shit like that. But man, yeah, I don't wish nothing on anybody of that nature. But Michael J. Fox, man, it's really sad to see him in this condition. You know what I mean? It should have never happened to him. But no, I totally agree with that. But yeah, so we're wrapping up Back to the Future, man. Hey, listen, go watch Back to the Future for the 40th anniversary. I think it's on like damn near every streaming service. And I'm pretty sure there's some TV network, if you still watch cable TV or whatever, that's probably showing a whole marathon of Back to the Future as we speak. Now,
Back to the Future, man.
Shut the fuck up. Anyway, I'm gonna watch Back to the Future for sure.
I'll try it out.
Out of all the Back to the Future movies, number one, the first one is by far the favorite. Now, a lot of people don't like Part 3 very much, right? It takes place in the Wild West. But interesting fact is that Back to the Future 2 and 3 was filmed at the same time. Believe it or not, it was filmed at the same time. Yeah, I'm telling you, Michael J. Fox was busy back then, man. Busy. That man was doing all this shit. He was doing 2 movies at once. 2 movies.
They were trying to catch
him
before his situation.
Well, he didn't know his situation until after those movies were done. You know what I mean? So, and some people contribute his condition to the fact that he overworked his 20s and 30s, because back in the 80s, this man was extremely busy. He had no sleep, nothing of that sort. You said you probably got another one of him from the future to film both. God damn. You know, that would be one hell of a theory if there's more than one Michael J. Fox working on Back to the Future while the original Michael J. Fox was starting to get Parkinson's. Again, he said he started seeing signs sometime after Back to the Future 3 was released, which I believe was in 1990. I believe 1990 was the 1990 or 91 Back to the Future 3 was released. I love all of the Back to the Future movies, but number one is definitely the number one of those 3. And then, of course, people are like, well, they're going to come out with a part 4. Listen, the original creators of Back to the Future is still alive, and they said while they're around, there will never be a Back to the Future 4. But I promise you this, let Bob Gale or Robert Zemeckis pass away or Steven Spielberg, they will try to make a 4th fucking movie. I wouldn't want to watch it. I think that stains the trilogy. I think ending in 3 movies is perfect. Now, Skillers, you say if you believe in the multiverse, then yeah, more than one of us. Very much possible. And then Mike, you said it was so sad when Michael J. Fox met with Christopher Lloyd. I think it was back in 2015. They had an appearance together and stuff like that. This was, I think, when Michael J. Fox was able to walk a little bit and stuff, when they came out the DeLorean. Yeah, it was great to see, man. And they had like a damn near 5-minute ovation, standing ovation, of just amazing. I think that was for the 30-year anniversary. I believe they did that for. But yeah, man, it's crazy. Nowadays, Michael J. Fox, he's in a wheelchair most of the time now. He can barely walk. He needs help standing up and shit like that. Like, it's really taking a toll on him. But he's still kicking. Still able to hold conversations. But he's still very much still going on. But yeah, man, it's sad to see. Now, Skimless, you said Back to the Future '99, and it starts with a clapped out Honda Civic that goes 15 miles an hour. Man, there'll be snails going into the future faster than you. And I can't picture a Japanese car in the next Back to the Future, especially one that's clapped out with nothing but speakers in the back seat instead of a flux capacitor. All right, James, hey, you might want to go dark for a little bit. It's giving me a message about you driving, so I'm not obviously going to remove you, but yeah, I'm going to go, yeah. I got you, yeah. I don't understand TikTok sometimes. What's wrong with driving? Unless they just think like, okay, you're driving and you're distracted because you're on TikTok. Get out of here. Stop pretending. Stop pretending like you care, TikTok. You don't give a fuck. Anyway, so
I'm not even looking at the phone.
And that gave me another weird message. It says consuming substances featured in live could harm your health. What is going on? What substance? Anyway, I don't know what the fuck's going on. All right, Skimless, you asked a very interesting question. If snails are so slow, how are they just appearing out of nowhere? I don't know. Maybe they appear at night when nobody's around, and then all of a sudden you wake up and it's like, oh shit, all these snails are here. What is that about? Where were they earlier? I don't know. Snails are faster than you think, because before you know it, They're in front of your house, and then tomorrow they're like halfway past your house. It's like, how the fuck you get there so quick? Snails are pretty cool.
Didn't
to see,
that one snail beat that rabbit?
Snail?
Oh no, it was a turtle.
That was a tortoise. That was a tortoise. Now there is an episode of SpongeBob where there was snails racing each other, which was pretty cool. But they all got beaten by Patrick's rock, which is mind blowing to me. But yeah, man.
Larry spinned out. No, Larry.
Oh
Gary.
yeah. How you spin out? You're a fucking snail, dude.
Hit the walls.
And he blew up too. Gary, no. Go get your fucking snail, dog. Oh man, I swear. All right, man. Well, shit. I've spoken enough about Back to the Future. I didn't really dig too much into the characters, but I want to talk about the DeLorean real quick because that's what I wanted to mention because I wanted to do a whole episode on the DeLorean. But one fun fact about the DeLorean. Do you know it was almost made in Puerto Rico? So when they were trying to find a place to make the DeLorean.
I'll catch y'all later. I got to dip.
All right, man. Hey, be careful out there, man. Have fun. Don't run over any fucking.
Well, peace.
What was it? Whatever was on
Snails?
the road. Cockroaches.
Oh, the roach.
Yeah. Don't run over any roaches. Them shits give you a flat tire.
Yeah, they don't like when I put my high beams on.
Well, shit. Yeah, they stop right there, just like a deer in the headlights. Well, shit. Be careful out there, man. Have fun.
All right, man.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later. There'll be a roundtable bonus episode tomorrow, and then the new season officially starts sometime in the upcoming week.
All right, man. I'll be around.
All right, man. I'll catch you later.
I will,
Peace.
Mike.
All right. That was Captain J, is my executive producer, co-host, and co-creator of the TikTok version of this podcast. No, this wasn't a GTR. This is a Bentley GT3. I told you I collect a lot of these little collectibles. I do have a GTR. Like, I have my whole collection in the room, in the other room, my game room. But no, this is a GT3 Bentley. I've never seen these in person, but all right, it's not what you think it is. And why does this TikTok keep giving me this message? Who is consuming substances featured in this live could harm your health? What? You know, I heard there was a new update with TikTok. I don't know. These things just tend to come by. I've never seen these messages pop by in the chat. Have anybody ever seen this shit before? Because I've never seen this. This is a first. Kind of a funny statement, especially when you're not even consuming anything that could cause some sort of harm. What are you talking about? Anyway, the DeLorean real quick, right? So the DeLorean, when they were coming out with this car, they needed a place to build this car. And one of the places they wanted to build it was in Puerto Rico. Now, there's no cars made in Puerto Rico at all. They have no auto industry, no auto plants out there. So it's been kind of weird. But out of all the places they picked to build this car, they picked Belfast, Ireland, or Dunmurry, in the Dunmurry region of Belfast. Northern Ireland, right? Now, Northern Ireland is technically on the island of Ireland, but this particular part of it is under British rule, which means in Northern Ireland, they don't use the euro, they use British pounds. So when DeLorean he needed money, he went to the British government. They gave this dude about the equivalent of $100 million to go open up his plant and go build 9,000 fucking DeLoreans. I think about 7 of them were used for the movie. They were like cut out. Some of them were destroyed and stuff like that, just for the film itself. And I think one of the original clapped out DeLoreans that have everything on it is sitting somewhere. I don't know where, and there's like replicas and everything else. I'd say estimated there probably are about maybe 5,000-6,000 DeLoreans. There are even DeLoreans with right-hand drive, right? Like the steering wheel on the right side, somewhere out there. Extremely fucking rare. But there's also DeLoreans that come in manuals, because I think most of them were built manual, and there are DeLoreans that are automatic. And again, if you go to Texas, I forgot where this place is. Actually, let me look it up real quick. You could go buy a DeLorean brand new or refurbished, and you could go get parts of this DeLorean. Let me see. Hold on. I'm going to look it up real quick before we wrap up the show here, because we are just about done. I can't talk about Back to the Future for 2 hours, as much as I would love to. Let me see. I know it's somewhere in Texas they have this place. You could go buy a fucking DeLorean. It is in Humble, Texas. That's where, if you go to Humble, Texas, you'll find DMC. And all they have is DeLoreans. You could go there, buy them, get it refurbished. If you need parts for those who are DeLorean owners, you could go ahead, go buy some parts. I'm telling you right now, let me come across a substantial amount of money. The very first thing I'm doing, besides paying any debts that I have, I'm going to Humboldt, Texas, and I'm buying a DeLorean right out. How much is it? Okay, I'm driving out with the fucking DeLorean. I don't give a fuck if it's refurbished, brand new, needs gas. I'm taking the DeLorean. All right, the DeLorean was built from 1981 to 1983. It had a very short life. Okay, why would I? And stop at Popeyes. No, that's crazy. The only thing I think that's difficult with driving a DeLorean is that when you go to a parking lot, you have to go somewhere where you're not next to any of the cars because it has gull wing doors. So the doors are going to swing up and you're going to end up hitting another car. So it has to be somewhere that you're able to get into. Now, what will suck is if you go to a separate parking area where it's just your DeLorean, and then all of a sudden you come out of Walmart and there's two people parked next to your DeLorean. How the fuck are you going to get into the car? Because now you got to open it up and shit gets stupid. But anyway, Humboldt, Texas, go get yourself a DeLorean. There's a phone number and everything. They do offering sales, restoration, and repair services for any DeLorean cars built from 1981 to 1983. So the guy that owns this place, he bought all the parts that was left in Ireland and had them shipped to this place. He has all the original factory parts, stampings, serial numbers, everything there, which is pretty damn cool. So you could get a brand new 1981 car for like, what, $40,000, $50,000? Sure. Anyway, before I wrap up this show, all right, this is the last episode of the season, all right? We're sending off season 21 with Back to the Future, which will now, this episode will be now in the past. So, yeah, tomorrow will be a roundtable episode. It will be more of a bonus, right? I'm not starting the new season tomorrow. We'll just do the roundtable as a bonus episode. We'll talk about any and everything you guys want to talk about because that's usually how this show usually goes. It's an open discussion, freestyle Friday, roundtable discussion about whatever. Now, I guarantee we're going to talk about Diddy and his charges and shit like that because Diddy seems to always come up in these episodes, including this one. Just seems to pop up. But he's kind of like a running gag on this podcast. But anyway, before I wrap up the show, I do want to take the time to thank everybody who made this show where it is to where it is now and, you know, helping to send off another somewhat successful season. Shout out to executive producer and co-host, among many, Captain James. Shout out to Captain James, executive producer, co-host, and co-creator of the Daily Mind podcast for TikTok. And then shout out to Mike. Anna is also my co-host. Not exactly executive producer yet, but right now just co-host. Shout out to Anna for stopping by. Mike, shout out to you as well. And a few other people that came by just to say hello, whatever. I truly do appreciate it as we now get into the season 22, episode, where are we at right now? We're at 120. I'm sorry, we're at 520. Hold on, where the fuck are we right now? Tomorrow's episode will be 525. This is episode 524, wrapping it up. But anyway, thank you everybody for joining. It is the 4th of July where I'm at, and it will eventually be the 4th of July where you are. And Mike, yes, of course, it's good seeing you again, man, and I appreciate the follow. I'll follow you back because that's what I usually do. And again, I also have a YouTube channel that has selected episodes you guys can see from the live streams. That is also posted on YouTube. I got to go back to posting select episodes. Not every episode go up there because it's time consuming. So I just pick whatever the best episodes are, and I just have them up there. Just put them up there, whatever. All right, anyway, thanks for joining, everybody. Enjoy the beginning of your long weekend for some of you, and we will do this again tomorrow with a bonus episode. Same time, same place of the roundtable. Please join. It's always a lot of fun. A lot of dumb shit we say. It gets crazy, all right? And we will do this again next time. See you later, season 21, and welcome to season 22 coming soon this upcoming week. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you tomorrow. Peace out.